everybody out there in YouTube land, and welcome to DC Fans United. So today I'm hyped to talk to you guys about a brand new comic book. Batman Who Laughs number 2 just came out, so if you haven't checked out Batman Who Laughs number 1, I would definitely recommend it. I went back and read it so I could do the review of this one, and I was surprised by how good it was, so it's definitely worth reading. And you know, this comic you can definitely read by itself and it stands alone just fine, but the first issue actually gives a lot more backstory on how the Batman Who Laughs came about and became who he is. Another one you'd want to check out from back in 2017 was The Dark Knight's Metal Origins, The Batman Who Laughs number 1. So with that all being said, this issue was really good but really dark. It's definitely got horror elements to it, which actually like. Back when I did my Halloween stream, we talked about horror comics, although those were more of the old school ones like House of Mystery and House of Secrets and whatnot. But anyways, this book's definitely got that horror edge to it. So the way I started off, so this issue was written by Scott Snyder, and the art on this is done by Jock. So that's pretty awesome because nowadays you usually see him just doing covers. For instance, he did the one of the exclusive variant covers for Action Comics 1000. So the colors on this were by David Barron, and the lettering was done by Sal Cipriano, and the cover is also by Jock and Ben Oliver. At first I wasn't really too hyped about the cover, but it's actually good. It's really good. One thing is it's Jock's style, so it's one of those things you either really like it or you really don't. At first I was put off by, you see the character there, it says "Behold the Grim Knight," and you see Batman with a bunch of guns. Well, as we'll come to find out if you don't already know, that isn't Earth Prime Batman. That is a Batman from an alternate Earth. So just like the Batman Who Laughs, he is from a different Earth. So that's one thing I think that's real important because it can be a little confusing. There's 3 Batmans in this book. There's the Earth Prime Batman, who's the main Batman in Rebirth, and there's the Batman Who Laughs, who is an extremely evil Batman, and then there's also the Grim Knight. So the reason I started off the review showing all the text at the beginning there is because I really wanted to emphasize what Batman was saying about happiness being stored in the heart, and that is something that we see the Batman Who Laughs attack. So there might be some minor spoilers throughout this. I'm going to try to not have too many, but I'll definitely have a few. So I had to do kind of a lot of research for this because I'm not up to date on all of the events from Metal, so that's part of why. So anyways, the person's heart we saw being operated on at the very beginning, that is the Joker. And in the very end of the last issue, he shot himself. He looked like he was going to shoot Batman, but he purposefully shot himself because it fired backwards. So Alfred really doesn't want to do the operation. He'd much rather let the Joker die, but Batman insists. And so then this is another big plot point. That's one thing with Scott Snyder's writing. It's very dense, which is a good thing if you're a reader, but if you're a reviewer, there's a lot of information to relay. I definitely recommend buying this and just reading it. It's well worth your time. But on this page, we see Batman's being treated with an antitoxin because he was infected with he was infected with this Joker virus, so he could turn into the Batman Who Laughs himself. So they're trying to prevent that. Then we cut to a person falling and crashing into a car, which causes, of course, a lot of problems, and the police show up and investigate because, aside from it being a murder, it is Bruce Wayne. At least that's what his IDs and genetic, his fingerprints and stuff say, but he's from a different Earth. So Gordon investigates, and it's actually also being investigated by Batman himself in disguise, and he's really starting to crack because of his ailment, and he goes off on one of the police officers. So I thought this was a really powerful scene. The art really shows what's going on here and how he's not handling the stress particularly well, and even Gordon really notices. So Batman finds something and says, "I need to show you something." And I thought this page was really cool, just the way it's drawn, and I like maps and stuff, but it's a map of Gotham City. So I won't get into all the details of that, but that plays a big part in what happens. So we go to another scene. Page was cool, but it was crazy too. So see the Batman Who Laughs here, and he's in this secret place that Batman is in control of. And he killed the 2 other guards, but this guard's blind, so I don't know, he just thinks it's funny or whatever, and the guard lets him pass because it's Batman. He doesn't know it's the wrong Batman. He can't see. But yeah, the Batman Who Laughs just goes on past. He doesn't kill him. I imagine it's just because he thinks it's funny. He's been described as a cross between the Joker and Batman, but he is just so evil. If you know what he went through and everything, you would probably understand, but he is very, very twisted character. In any case, he gets past that, and then he runs into the guards, which can see him, so it's slice and dice, and he takes those guys out. It's a very, action-packed scene, but also very brutal. But then the hero shows up, Batman. He crashes through the glass window panes, as he almost always does, and he says, "Stop it." And so a fight breaks out. There's very good action. They're both, of course, very equally skilled. That's the thing. They're both Batman. So Batman finally does take him down, but Batman Who Laughs said it was because he wanted him to. So we're going to be getting into some spoilers here. Batman gets shot then in the next scene. So then we see the Grim Knight shot him. He was the shooter. And the thing to know about the Grim Knight is he is a Batman from a different Earth, but he's a Batman who picked up the gun after his parents were murdered. So he uses guns quite extensively, and right now is working with the Batman Who Laughs. So then the Batman Who Laughs, and this is all really well-written dialogue. You definitely want to read all this, but he goes through and more or less tells this Batman his plan, and he blows up the building they're in. So good Batman runs and jumps, and he actually saves the old dude, the old blind guy, so he's still alive. You actually see him as the building's crashing down, flying out with Batman. And then Batman's back at the Batcave. His eyes are all red. He's doing really poorly now. He's changing more and more, but the antitoxin's still keeping him going. So he wants to wake up Joker, and he does, and shakes him, and he demands to know what's going on. And Joker says he doesn't know, but he knows someone who does. And then we cut to a scene with Commissioner Gordon, and that is about where it ends. Commissioner Gordon runs into someone very important, but that is something you're going to have to check out the comic to see. It's on the very last page. He runs into somebody, though, and it's very interesting. So that's all for now. There's a lot to say about it, but I don't want to give everything away. The thing about it is, if you know Scott Snyder's writing, he uses a lot of words, but they're very well placed. It's not just filler or flowery nonsense. It's actually really interesting, and sometimes it's really poignant, like what I focused on there at the beginning. And there were a couple other instances of that too. And I do tend to think Scott Snyder's at his best when he's writing Batman. His Justice League's pretty good too, but in some ways he makes everything such a vast, huge scope that if he's limited more to just, say, Batman, he can't get quite as out of control as he does with the Justice League. But, I reviewed his issue of Justice League #1. I'll put a link for that in the description box if you want to check that out too. But I guess that's all for now. Let me know what you think of this. Is it too much Batman? Is it just the right amount of Batman? Or does it need more Batman? I remember there's an issue of Countdown Arena where the Monarch has all these different versions of Batman fight. I think that one has 3 as well, so we're tied for 3 for 3. Next DC is going to have to put out a book with 4 or more Batmen at once, I guess. Although Dark Knight's Metal already did that, huh? They had a whole roster. Anyways, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Be sure and check out this comic. It's a 6-issue miniseries, so it's really... Some people don't like miniseries, but I kind of do because you can get the whole story in one package. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the bell for notifications. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't. And as always, thank you for watching and being a part of DC Fans United.
End of line.